Okay, I'm going to give you the lowdown on the new Nikon D7500. And there's some interesting information. I only have one unknown variable on the camera, really only one. And that's whether it's going to be using dual SD card slots or double XQD card slots, or like the current D500, XQD card slot and SD card slot. However, even with that unknown variable, I can say that the Nikon D7500 is a flop. Now, before you cast judgment on me, I'll remind you that I was the first person in the world to do reviews on the Nikon D500. I cranked out like 30 videos before anybody else did, and everybody said I was full of crap. I said the Nikon D500 will be a legend camera for Nikon. They will sell an ungodly amount of D500s, and everybody said, oh my god, $2,000 DX professional camera, you're so full of shit. You're totally wrong. However, I turned out to be 100% accurate on that. Okay, I've owned every Nikon DSLR made. Okay, made a logical analysis of the D7500, the new camera, which is basically a castrated version of the Nikon D500. Same ergos as the D750 and the D500 have basically the exact same chassis. They're very thin grip, so that will be the same. So I'll remind you that I will be proven right in this prediction on the Nikon D7500. It's like, well, how could you know? You don't have the damn camera in your hands. I know absolutely everything about this camera except for the cards that will be taken on it. Now, supposedly it's going to be $1,400 on the Nikon D7500. If that's the case, Nikon's going to be committing suicide. Even if it is $1,000, I assume it's probably going to be right around $1,200. So you can get used and like new factory refurb D500s for $1,400. There is nobody with a brain that would buy a D7500 for $1,400. Not even really for $1,200. I assume it's actually going to be, even though it's reported to be $1,400, I assume that the U.S. market price for it will be $1,200. I could be wrong on that one, but if it is $1,400 as it's been reported, Nikon will be committing suicide. So this is a castrated Nikon D500. The engine, 80 converters, all processing. The engine of the image processing will be exactly the same as the Nikon D500. Let's go over some of the positive things of the Nikon D7500. It does have the D500 sensor engine, which means over that, because everybody's going to want me to compare it to the D7200. What's it going to have over the D7200 as far as imaging? Crazy ass high ISO performance. It'll just blow the piss and snot out of the D7200 for high ISO performance. It just will. Period. Yes, it'll be a 20.9 megapixel sensor. Yeah, okay, 20 megapixel sensor. Plenty fine croppability for sports action wildlife. You're going to crop the hell out of your shots. The pixel pitch, if it were scaled up to a full frame sensor, you kept the pixel pitch the same, it would be a 42 megapixel sensor. So more translational information per square millimeter of sensor than even the Nikon D810. So it's a perfect sports action wildlife camera. I don't know what the frame per second rate's going to be. That's going to depend on the buffer and the actual cards that the D7500 is going to take, but even not knowing that variable, there's several issues here. Another positive thing is going to have the exact same touch screen as the Nikon D500. It also has the flippy screen of the D500. Nikon now, on its cheaper end cameras, has gone to the eye sensor. If you actually look at the D5600, there's a little window that sits right above the viewfinder that actually detects the eye, saves on battery life, and lets the camera know that you got your face planted up against the back of the camera. Nikon on the D7500, instead of the lugs for the straps, have gone to the cheesy ass strap hoops, which are found on cheap cameras. That's pretty abysmal. I mean, it's not like Nikon saved any money not sticking regular strap lugs on the camera. Those things are heinously ugly, and they're always indicative of a cheap end camera. They've stuck with a square-ass damn viewfinder. It doesn't really save Nikon much money to stick a circular viewfinder on there. There's several advantages to a circular viewfinder, specifically the magnification eyepiece, which could be screwed on there. The square one falls off. You don't want that one. Those things are always falling off. It's a really stinky ass design flaw, so Nikon screwed the pooch on sticking that on the D7500. It does have a pop-up flash just like the D750 does, and the other cheesy cameras from Nikon's lower end. This is basically going to be like a po man's Nikon D500. But there's several issues that make this camera a failure. It is a bit more, even if it has dual XQD card slots. There's several reasons why this camera is a failure. No back button autofocus. Oh, very importantly, boys and girls, listen to this crap. There's no AI indexing for AI and AIS lenses on this camera like there is on the D7100 and the D7200. Fail, 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 fail. Lame. Nikon just figures, well, those lenses are old crap. Nikon, however, actually still does make AIS lenses like the 50mm and the 55mm macro, the 50mm 1.2 being an example. So, yeah, there's that. That's not on this camera. The images were provided by Nokoshita on the D7500. No back button autofocus. Okay, well, yeah, it's a dumbed down version of the D500. We can't give you everything if you're going to pay less money. That's understandable. It's logical. I mean, you're not going to get the same thing for a lot less money. Well, it's not a lot less. If they're going to be selling it for $1,400, Nikon's committing suicide. Suicide. No AI indexing. That is really bad. Bad. For that kind of money, they should have at least stuck a damn joystick on the back of the camera. There's no joystick on the back of the Nikon D7500. The D750 dials, which basically suck, Nikon should have actually stuck those in the trash can permanently and forever. There's no cost savings by sticking those D750 dials and the D7100 dials on the new cameras. No cost saving advantage at all. None whatsoever, so that really sucks. It's good that it does have the D500 new ISO button location. That's really nice. The touch screen is nice, same as, like I said, the Nikon D500. The pop-up flash I mentioned. That suck-ass square viewfinder. Really, really stupid. D750, D500 ergos, like I pointed out, and like I said, it's going to be the exact same image output regardless of the frames per second, which is important. So you're going to have crazy ass high ISO performance, and it's going to clip the to be sure. It's going to clip the speculars the same way and not so good a way as the Nikon D500 does. They could actually tweak the sensor engine on the D7500 so that it doesn't clip the speculars so easy, but the way that... I'm declining a call. Someone always calls me when I'm making a video. But you wouldn't want to do that because the main advantage of having this camera, of which I'm going to be 100% right on this review, is a crazy high ISO performance. D500 is just absolutely bat crap crazy for low light high ISO performance. So to be 100% certain it is the exact same, we know it's the same sensor, we know it's the exact same engine. A camera is not a sensor, by the way. Most people forget that. You know, it is a image processor, 80 converters, SNR firmware, yada yada yada. So that will all be the same. But if it's going to be $1,400, it's really, really stupid. Nikon is definitely committing suicide in that case. Big mistake. This is a mistake. You know, even if it's $1,200, so I'm going to actually give the best case scenario on this. Even if the reported $1,400 price is wrong, and it's $1,200, which likely it's going to be, but no one's reporting that. Everybody's reporting $1,400. And then it has dual XQD cards, which to be sure, it absolutely sure the hell will not. The good guarantee it'll be dual SD cards. But even if it had dual XQD card slots, and if it's 12, that's two ifs given to this camera, which are unknown, then it's going to be a failure. For $200 more than that, you can get a much better camera with a joystick, with AI indexing for using AIS lenses, with a back button autofocus or an AF on button. No cheesy ass strap lugs, which is no big deal. No, really important, but most people don't realize it unless they've owned both and used both. It's a sucky ass square viewfinder which pops off so easy. Can't use a magnifier on it. It is going to have the exact same 4K video features as the Nikon D500. What this is a castrated, rebranded Nikon D500 for not much less money. No, not much less. Where is Nikon saving the money on the D? Because it's all made in Southeast Asia. D500, Nikon D7500. They're probably both going to be made in Malaysia. Well, we know what the D500, where it's made at. Where is Nikon saving the money? They're saving the money on, to be sure, the XQD card slots. It's not going to be in there. They're saving the money on the joystick, the AI and AIS indexing ring, the back button autofocus, the buffer capacity. Trying to think what else would they be saving money on. Some of the advanced features of the Nikon D500. The engine's going to be the same. As compared to if the Nikon D500 didn't exist, for example. I mean, the Nikon D7200 right now is $1,000. If it's $400 more than that, is it worth it? Not really. If you have a D7200, no, it's not going to, because we know it's going to be the exact same sensor engine and image processing as the D500. Is it going to be worth it over the D7200? For $1,400, you know, $400 more than the D7200? No. It will be a much better performer for crazy-ass high ISO performance. It's going to have a better buffer. It's going to autofocus faster. That's the real big advantage. That's the one thing that I needed to mention in going down this list that I didn't add, is that compared to the D7200, the autofocus is going to be back crap crazy. So the people that were happy with the D7200, they're going to be really happy with the D7500. I know you call it D7500 or D7500, whichever one you want to say. But yeah, Nikon is absolutely committing suicide and hanging itself. If it really is going to sell this damn camera for $1,400, which is the price of a really good used D500, that's just suicide. This camera is going to go over like a lead balloon. However, Nikon will surround it with a marketing that will make it just seem like the best thing since sliced bread. But people like me that have owned every Nikon digital, I know what this camera will be. I will be 100% accurate on this review in this video on that camera. 100% accurate. Now, if someone buys it and they haven't had a good camera, it's like, well, oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, that's what Nikon's counting on. People like me are saying, no, this is not a good deal. If this camera is going to be $1,400, and even if it has dual XQD card slots, which it sure the hell is not, just say an XQD card and SD card slot, is it worth $1,400? Oh, hell no. As opposed to it being $200 more if the U.S. market on the D7500 is going to be $200 more than a D7200, which is currently $1,000, then yes, what are you going to have for $200 more at $1,200 over the D7200? Crazy ass better autofocus, crazy ass better high ISO performance on low light performance, touchscreen. Oh yes, the same engine as the Nikon D500. Oh yes, better ergos. D7200 has good ergos. D7100 definitely does not. Not that it's really bad. I absolutely can't stand that they stuck the damn eye sensor on the back of this camera. I cannot stand they stuck the square viewfinder on the back. So that's the specs on the D7500. Now, it's going to be an excellent camera from the perspective of it being by itself. But I don't judge a camera by itself. It's like, well, is it going to be a good camera? Yes, it will be. For $1,400, which is said it's going to be based upon the Japanese price, the answer is hell no. I mean, the one-eyed man is king in the land of blind people. This is not a camera that sits by itself. By itself, it's like, well, yeah, it's a wonderful camera, you know. How is the new D7500? Well, it's a great camera, you know. It's got crazy IS performance, same as the D500. It's got 4K video. It's got touchscreen. Yeah, just like the D500. But comparatively, relative to like a used D500 for $1,400, no. No, and you castrated the damn thing. It's got no AI indexing, no back button autofocus, no joystick, screw that. If you're going to charge $1,400, the least thing Nikon could have done is stuck a damn joystick on this camera. Well, then it brings it too close to the D500. Well, it's already too close. If it's going to be $1,400, it's already too damn close to the D500. This is a great way for Nikon to make money. I love Nikon to death. You see I got Nikon tattooed on my hand right here? I love Nikon to death, but I will not kiss their butt on anything. You know, they've given nothing to me. I don't get anything from Nikon. I will be as 100% right in this video as I was when everybody said it was full of crap on the D500. I made all these video reviews. Oh, you're so crazy. You're so wrong about the D500. That's when it just came out. I was like, this camera is going to be a legend. Everybody's going to buy this damn camera. I was 100% accurate on that, okay? I got all the proof in the world. And I will be 100% accurate on this camera as well. 100%. Like I said, I only know 2 unknown variables, really 1. The buffer is going to be high. Whether it's going to be really high, who knows? It's not going to be the D500 buffer. It could be, but even if it is, still too much. The only unknown variable is whether it's going to be dual SD card slots or XQD and SD. So that's the only unknown variable on this camera. And this review, even though I don't have it in my hands, will be 100% accurate. Of that, I'm absolutely certain. I have more than enough information, more than enough pictures, more than enough data to make a very, very solid, logical, intelligent conclusion about the new Nikon D7500. Thank you so much for watching. Like these videos, drop a buck or two, tell me to jump off a cliff, whatever makes you happy, but this video review will be proven accurate just as soon as the camera rolls out. Bye. You know, one thing people are going to comment on this video is, how can you review this camera? You don't have it in your hands. Something was asked once by a guy. He like owned every Volkswagen made, and he worked on Volkswagens, and he like ate, slept, and breathed Volkswagen. And every time Volkswagen would come out with a new car, he would look at all the pictures, he would look at some of the specs, and he would say something about the car, and people say, oh, you're crazy. It's like, oh, really? And every time he was proven right. So the same sort of thing applies here. Thank you so much for watching, and bye. Bum, ba-dum, bum.